Welcome to the deep dive. We know you want the key info without wading through endless pages, so that's what we do.
We cut through the noise.
Exactly. And today, we're diving into a pretty popular gaming laptop, the ASUS ROG Strix G16.
Right. Lots of talk about this one.
We've gone through the Amazon product page, the official specs and descriptions, and a whole load of customer reviews, what people are actually saying after using it.
The real-world perspective.
Our goal here is basically to pull out the most important stuff, the highlights from ASUS and, well, how it stacks up in reality according to users.
Beyond just the spec sheet, what does it actually mean for you?
Okay, let's jump in. First impressions, it's clearly a gaming laptop, no surprises there, but ASUS is also pushing the portability aspect.
Yeah, powerful, but still something you can, in theory, take around.
Under the hood, it's running Windows 11, standard stuff.
Yeah.
But then you've got a 13th gen Intel Core i7 processor, the i7-13650HX specifically, and an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4060 GPU.
Right, and that's the laptop version, importantly, with a 140W Max TGP.
Okay, 140 watts TGP, that
Yeah.
sounds significant. What does that actually mean for someone playing a game?
Well, think of the processor, that HX, as a high-gear engine for demanding tasks, like gaming. The RTX 4060 is the graphics muscle.
Gotcha.
And that 140W TGP, total graphics power, that's key. It's on the higher side for a 4060 mobile chip. More power usually means better performance, smoother frame rates, especially compared to the lower wattage versions you might find in, say, thinner laptops.
So it lets the graphics card really stretch its legs, basically.
Exactly. If you want high settings, smooth gameplay, that TGP number matters.
Speed seems to be another big theme. They list 16 GBs of DDR5 memory at 4800 MHz, a 1 TB PCIe Gen 4 SSD, and Wi-Fi 6E. That all sounds fast.
It is. 16 gigs of DDR5 RAM is a good baseline for modern gaming and multitasking. The 4800 mHz speed, that just means faster access, snappier system feel, quicker game loads.
Right.
And the SSD, PCIe Gen 4, that's your storage. It's really fast. Think loading huge game worlds way faster than older drives. And Wi-Fi 6E is the latest standard. If you've got the right router, it means faster, more stable internet, which is, pretty crucial for online gaming.
Definitely. Now, this caught my eye, the cooling system. They call it ROG Intelligent Cooling. It uses thermal grizzly conductinaut extreme liquid metal on the CPU, and a third fan.
Yeah, that's pretty high-end for laptop cooling. See, all that power generates a lot of heat. If you don't manage it, the performance tanks thermal throttling.
Ah, okay.
Liquid metal is way better at transferring heat away from the chip than standard thermal paste. It's not just marketing speak. It suggests they're serious about maintaining performance during long gaming sessions.
So it keeps it running fast, not just cool.
Precisely. And that third fan helps pull more air through, keeping everything cooler overall. It points towards more consistent high performance.
Makes sense. All right, what of the screen? What are you actually looking at? It's listed as a 16-inch FHD display, 1920 by 1080 with a 165 Hz refresh rate, plus 100% RGB and Pantone validation.
Okay, lots to unpack there. For gaming, 165 Hz is great. That's how many times the screen refreshes per second. Higher number means smoother motion, more responsive feel, especially in fast games.
Right, less blur.
Exactly. FHD, or 1080p, is a good resolution for this size screen. Sharp enough, but not so demanding that the 4060 struggles to hit those high frame rates.
And the color stuff. sRGB, Pantone.
That's about color accuracy. 100% RGB covers the standard color range well. Pantone validation means it's factory calibrated for accurate colors. Good for games looking how they're meant to, but also a bonus if you do any photo or video work.
Nice. And they throw in a 90-day Xbox Game Pass trial, too.
Yeah, that's a nice little perk. Lets you try out a bunch of games right away.
And lastly, the design. They mentioned cyberpunk inspiration, graffiti accents, dot matrix design. Sounds like it has a certain look.
Definitely. Gaming laptops often go for that more stylized, maybe aggressive look. This one seems to lean into that. Whether you like it is personal preference, obviously.
Fair enough. Okay, so powerful specs, seemingly good screen.
Yeah.
But what about protecting it? Amazon offers these Assurion protection plans, 2-year and 4-year options.
Right. These go beyond the standard manufacturer warranty. Key thing is they cover accidental damage drops, spills, cracked screens right from day one.
Oh, from day one, okay.
Yeah. And then they cover breakdowns after the manufacturer's warranty, usually a year, runs out.
How easy is it to actually use the plan if something goes wrong?
They claim it's pretty straightforward. 24/7 support, online or phone claims, often approved quickly. If they can't fix it, you might get an Amazon gift card for the purchase price or a replacement laptop.
Any catches? Who can get it?
You need to buy it with the laptop or within 30 days after. And standard practice, it doesn't cover problems that were already there when you bought the plan.
Okay. And then there's this other thing, Assurian Complete Protect. What's that about?
That's different. It's a subscription, like $17 a month plus tax. It covers all your eligible Amazon buys, past and future, not just the laptop. Covers accidents, malfunctions, power surges, even wear and tear on portable stuff.
Oh, interesting.
But there's a limit, $5,000 in claims per year, and it's not for business use. And if you cancel, coverage ends 30 days later.
So maybe useful if you buy a lot from Amazon. Okay, the big question, price and availability.
As of when we checked, the new price listed was $11,149.99, with free delivery quoted for Friday, May 9th to a California address.
$11.50 basically.
Yep, and there was also a new used option for about $1,046. Same delivery estimate.
Is there any way to get that price down?
They mentioned an $80 instant discount if you get approved for the Amazon store card, so potentially.
Yeah, and returns. What if you don't like it?
Standard 30-day return window for refund or replacement. Plus, they mentioned included product support phone, chat, manufacturer contact, guides, videos.
Okay, that's the official story. Sounds pretty good on paper. But what about the people who've actually bought it and used it? Let's get into those customer reviews. What are the good things people are saying?
Performance is definitely a big one. People seem really happy with how it runs games. Fortnite, Cyberpunk 2077 were mentioned specifically. Smooth gameplay, fast loading times, that comes up a lot.
Good to hear.
The display quality also gets a lot of praise. Sharp colors, users saying the visuals are buttery smooth thanks to that 165 Hz refresh rate. And quite a few people like the 16:10 aspect ratio.
Ah, that taller screen.
Yeah, they find it good not just for gaming, but also for productivity, like web browsing or documents. That extra vertical space seems appreciated.
Interesting. What else stood out positively?
Value for money is a common theme. People feel like they're getting a lot of performance for the price. The keyboard feel gets positive mentions too. And maybe surprisingly for a gaming laptop, the cooling system gets props for being effective.
Effective and quiet.
Well, some users did say it's pretty quiet for basic tasks like web surfing or note-taking. And they mentioned decent battery life for that kind of light use, which is a plus.
Okay, so not always screaming fans, that's good. But inevitably, there's usually another side. What about the mixed or less positive feedback?
Build quality is one area where opinions differ. Some think it feels premium, solid. Others mentioned it feels, well, a bit plasticky, maybe not as sturdy as they hoped.
Okay. Subjective, maybe.
Could be. Sound quality is another mixed bag. Some found the fans okay. Others noticed a specific high-pitched noise from them. And the speakers themselves, generally described as not very loud.
Right. Laptop speakers are often a weak point. What about battery life when you're actually gaming?
Yeah, that's a big one. And the feedback is really inconsistent here. Some said it lasts surprisingly long. Others found it drains super quickly.
So it probably depends heavily on the game settings.
Exactly. Brightness, what you're running. Expect it to drain fast under heavy load, but how fast seems to vary quite a bit based on user reports.
Okay. Now here's a weird one. A customer reported the screen isn't actually 16 inches. They measured it closer to 13.5.
Yeah, that's significant if true. A 16-inch diagonal versus 13.5 is a huge difference. Could be a measurement error or maybe some confusion about bezel size versus actual screen. But it's definitely a red flag mentioned in at least one review, something you'd want to check further.
Absolutely. And one more minor gripe someone had?
Yes. The gaming keys, like WAP-SD, apparently have this reverse lighting thing where the letter itself isn't lit, but the area around it is.
Oh, right.
And this user found they were hard to actually see in bright light because of that. Looks cool in the dark maybe, but potentially annoying during the day.
A practical point. Okay, let's quickly revisit the tech specs listed on Amazon, especially with that screen size comment in mind.
Yes, so the specs do say 16 inches again, but then under screen resolution, it lists 1366 by 768 pixels.
Wait, 1366 by 768? That's not full HD. That's like old school HD.
Exactly. It directly contradicts the main description, which clearly says FHD 1920 by 1080.
Whoa, that's a massive discrepancy. 768p on a 16-inch screen would look pretty blurry compared to 1080p.
It absolutely would. So there's definitely conflicting information on the product page itself regarding the display. That's a major point of confusion.
Yeah, that needs clarification. What other specs did they confirm?
They list the 4.9 gigahertz processor speed, likely the boost clock for the i7, confirms the 16 GB DDR5 RAM, the 1 TB SSD, and the RTX 4060 having 8 GB of its own video memory. Also mentions 802.1 and Equus wireless, which is Wi-Fi 6E.
So the core guts seem consistent. It's really the display details that are murky.
Pretty much. The listed components generally match what you'd expect for this class of laptop.
And what about ASUS's own warranty? Did the page mention that?
It mostly focused on Amazon's return policy 30 days for defective, damaged, or unopened computers. They mentioned potential restocking fees for misuse or missing parts, but for the actual manufacturer warranty from ASUS, they just provide a link to a PDF. You'd have to click that to see the real details, like duration and coverage.
Always good to check the fine print. And finally, what's literally in the box when it arrives?
Just the basics. The laptop itself, model G614 JVAS74, the power cord and adapter, and a user guide.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground on the ASUS ROG Strix G16. The official pitch, the user experiences, the specs, the potential issues. Let's try and wrap this up.
Yeah, pulling it all together, this Strix G16 looks like a potent gaming machine on paper. Strong performance, high refresh rate display that many users really like for gaming smoothness and colors, and the value proposition seems to resonate with buyers.
But, and it's a significant but, you have to weigh that against the mixed feedback. Build quality isn't universally praised, sound seems average at best, and gaming battery life is, well, uncertain.
And critically, those inconsistencies in the listed screen specs, the size reported by one user, and especially that conflicting resolution information, are big question marks that you absolutely need to resolve before buying.
Definitely. It seems like the core engine is there, but the chassis and display details have some variability or unclear reporting attached.
Which leads us to the final thought for you. Considering this mix, powerful internals but varied real-world feedback, and those display questions, what factors are most critical for you in a gaming laptop?
How would you weigh potential trade-offs, like maybe a slightly less premium build or uncertain battery life, against that core gaming power, especially when the advertised specs themselves seem to have some inconsistencies?
It really highlights the need to dig into multiple detailed reviews, maybe find videos showing the screen, and compare it carefully against other options based on what matters most to your specific needs.
Absolutely. Don't just take the first page description at face value. Do that extra bit of homework.